Are we live?
You're live!
Welcome to 2025. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, Robin.
Yeah, this is the NZ Travel Show. What do we do here? Well, we answer all your questions about traveling New Zealand and the South Pacific. And why are we answering those questions? Because we kind of are the experts of traveling around New Zealand and the South Pacific. We run NZ Pocket Guide, New Zealand's largest travel guide, Fiji Pocket Guide, Fiji's largest travel guide, Cook Islands Pocket Guide, Cook Islands' largest travel guide, Samoa Pocket Guide, Samoa's largest travel guide, Tonga Pocket Guide, that's the one at the bottom, Tonga's largest travel guide, and Niue Pocket Guide, which is the one at the bottom as well. Who, as per usual, the preview is a bit cookie, but I'm just going to double check that it is all fine. But yeah, the way this show works is just come, ask us all your questions about traveling in any of those destinations, and we'll help you make plan the perfect holiday in those destinations. We'll point you toward the direction of nice, locally owned small businesses. The goal is for you to have a genuine, authentic experience when you travel. Because, well, that's our job. We go and we check those places out all the time. We have Avani Patel here saying, hi, how are you doing, Avani? Thanks for joining us and Happy New Year to you, my friend. So, yes, so the live chat is entirely yours. This show is yours, in fact. And what we do, we pick kind of a theme every week. We collate a bunch of questions, which I have right here, from people that have asked questions in the YouTube comments, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on all those kind of platforms.
Even by email.
Yeah, actually, the most amount of questions we get is by email. And yeah, we'll answer them for you. Let me just double check, Laura, just fill in the air for a minute while I check that the show is actually going on well.
No worries. Avani says, Happy New Year. So Happy New Year to you, Avani. And we have Anthony Comstock, one of our Patreon supporters, is here saying, Morena from Rodeo, California.
Yes.
Morena. So Morena.
Okay, it's working fine.
Morena means good morning in the indigenous language of New Zealand, which is Te Reo Maori.
Indeed. All right. So, again, ask us all your questions. We are here for you. In the meantime, we are going to get started. And so, Laura, what's the first question today?
The first question, you want me to ask it? So, the first question. Is it still safe to go to bars in Fiji? I read about the Australian family getting poisoned, and we are going there next month for my bachelorette party. That's asked by Hannah from Australia.
Well, Hannah, yes, there's been a food poisoning incident in the Warwick, which is on the Coral Coast in Fiji, and that made the round all over the news because obviously a family traveling from Australia to Fiji that just, all get hospitalized, blah, blah, that kind of make for very sensationalized headlines. The thing is, the Ministry of Health of Fiji has actually done some good work there. They've done some tests, etc. And it turns out that there was no methanol in their drink, which was what was touted by all the media and everything. They just don't retract those kind of stories anymore. Journalism is dead, my friend. So Fiji is very safe to travel to. Obviously, we've traveled to Fiji extensively. We've had drinks in these very establishments, for example. And, we're still here to tell the tale. It was a one-off incident, and out of the almost 1 million tourists going to Fiji every single year, this is one of the very, very rare incidents that this is happening. So, yes, Fiji is still very safe to go. Eat, drink, party, and all that. Now, a couple of things that you may want to keep in mind, just in case, perhaps, maybe, blah, blah, blah. But you can choose reputable establishments, right? That's the main thing that you can be doing, rather than, going to drink in the local drinking halls with the locals, etc., where you don't really know, if the booze is homemade or not. Maybe you can go to like some of the main name branded places, which, to be fair, that's places where the incident occurred was a main name branded places. Another thing you can be doing is to watch your drink being prepared. So same thing, if you are scared of this kind of incident, again, there was no methanol in the blood of those tourists. So technically that did not happen. It's just to be safe on things that did not happen right here. Watch your drink being prepared so you can see that nobody is spiking your drink, for instance, right? Most of the bars in Fiji are really open. You see the mixologists kind of making the drinks and all that for you.
All part of the fun.
Yeah, it's part of the experience. So just watch it being made and then you'll be safe. And obviously avoid leaving your drink unattended, which is something that, is an advice for anywhere, anytime, every time you go for a drink out. Aside from that, Fiji is seriously super safe. We have plenty of tips for you on FijiPocketGuide.com. You may want to check it out. We We have extensively updated it over the last few months after our last trip, and there is really a lot of amazing experiences to be had in Fiji. Don't let a sensationalized headline stop you from enjoying your holiday. All right, live chat. We have Darson that says, where can we find beautiful girls in New Zealand? Well, honestly, everywhere in New Zealand, my friends. I mean, I found this one in Auckland. She found that one in Auckland as well. But no, yeah, there's lovely people everywhere in New Zealand. I think the best way to meet people nowadays is actually to go and do real experiences. I think like there's a bit of a downward spiral of like all these apps and dating apps and all those kind of things. I just think you lose the human connection, and I think there is value into actually meeting people face to face. So I say join groups, do group tours, and all these kind of things, and be very respectful as well, right? And I think this is how you're gonna meet really beautiful girls inside and out. What is Avani saying?
Avani says, I'm a New Zealand citizen, but I am living in India. Is it possible to get remote work in customer service? If yes, then how?
Remote work in customer service. So you basically want to work in New Zealand customer service, remote work. I'm not 100% sure how you would approach that, right? Because in New Zealand, they tend to outsource their customer service to like large kind of call centers and those kind of things. So I'm not 100% sure. We're more of a travel channel here, my friend. So I'm not sure if we do have the right tips for you on this one.
Yeah.
Othello says, hello to you, brother. Happy New Year to you in New Zealand.
Happy New Year, Othello, my brother.
Yeah. My brother. I said that word very funnily. I'm sorry. Cool. Hey, lovely people. Keep on asking us your questions. That's really great. We're just going to take another one in the meantime, right? All right. Laura, I got a question for you from London, from the USA, saying, what is there to do on Christmas Day in New Zealand that you can't do in the US? Enjoyable for 12 and 14 years old.
Okay, so probably the most important thing to note about Christmas in New Zealand compared to Christmas in the US is that Christmas in New Zealand actually falls during the summer in New Zealand. So doing more summery activities compared to in the US where you would do things more winter orientated. That's a way to make things really different. So definitely having a beach day would be like the sort of ultimate summer Christmas experience. Going there, enjoying swimming. If you're into surfing, there's a lot of amazing surfing beaches.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
You can, or just enjoy a nice Christmas family picnic at the beach. Like it's pretty simple, not too expensive either. Good for no matter how large your family or small your family is. Other outdoor activities, you could go hiking. So there's obviously New Zealand is famous for its beautiful landscapes. Typically the weather is okay around Christmas. We had a really nice hot Christmas in 2024.
We won't talk about 2023.
But in 2023, 2022, 2021, it was, drizzling and raining. So, I mean, you have to pick your moments. But if it's a nice day, then going for a really nice hike, going to see some magnificent waterfalls, all that sort of stuff would be, I imagine, a lot different to your average Christmas in the US. So there's a couple of ideas for you.
And if from the US you mean the state of Hawaii, disregard all our advice. It's pretty hot as well. So yeah, sorry about that. All right, we have more information on what to do for Christmas actually on NZ Pocket Guide. We actually do have an article with some ways to celebrate Christmas, typically in New Zealand, etc. So you can head to nzpocketguide.com and in the search bar, just type Christmas and you'll find this article very easily. Avani says, thanks to you both. Hey, thanks to you too.
Yeah.
Not just me, I like it. Hey, we're almost matching color-wise today. I like it. All right. Next question. Are there any travel advisors? This is a horrible word. I always heard
travel advisory.
Yeah, I hate that word. I never like that word. Yeah. Are there any travel advisories? Advisories? I still can't
advisories.
Advisories. Okay, cool. Keith Roberts says, I missed the previous NZPM. The way she restricted freedom really got me feeling some type of way. Some people like this kind of thing. That's fancy. Cool. Are there any travel advisories for New Zealand due to recent natural disasters? Ask Carlos from Spain. Have there been any recent disasters?
There has not been
Oh,
any
okay.
recent natural disasters. So yeah, there's no travel advisories currently as we are recording this at the beginning of 2025. So just all your usual precautions, I guess, for your own health and in traveling. Make sure that you're up to date with your vaccinations, all that good stuff. That's kind of like what the World Health Organization would advise for traveling anywhere in the
Yeah.
world. And yeah, just think of your common sense health and safety tips. But other than that, you should be pretty good to go for coming to New
Yeah,
Zealand
we don't
early
have no more.
2025.
Yeah, we don't have no more COVID-19 restrictions or anything like that. So we all sweet for now. Touch wood.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of 2025. Hopefully, it stays like that. Yeah. In the meantime, on the NZ Pocket Guide, we do actually have the latest kind of like, hey, this is which vaccination we recommend you have, and etc. To find it, go on the search bar of NZ Pocket Guide and type vaccination, and you'll find all that good tips for you, Carlos from Spain. Cool. Next up, we have Emma from Canada. So Emma from Canada asks, is the Tongariro Alpine crossing open year-round or are there seasonal closures?
So for the Tongariro crossing, it's technically open year round. However, for your normal average hiker,
There's common sense closures.
yeah. So the thing to note about the Tongariro Alpine crossing is in an alpine environment. Therefore, in winter, it does become very much ice, snow, a lot of hazards. So the average hiker should not hike the Tongariro crossing alone during the winter months. However, it is open where there are transport available, very easy access to go to the Tongariro crossing. You can make bookings through the DOC website, which is the Department of Conservation that manages the Tongariro crossing. You can do that between the end of October and usually around the end of April. So that's kind of your window for walking the Tongariro crossing as the average person who isn't a mountaineer or isn't into doing,
If you're not a pro mountaineer, in the eyes of Laura, you're just average to mid.
I'm part of the average to mid crew as well. So yeah, however, if you do want to hike in winter and you are average like me, then you can go on guided hikes with the experts who have all the equipment and the expertise to navigate those mountains.
The only other reason the Tongariro crossing will be closed is if there is an accident on the mountain resulting in a loss of life. Usually the local iwi, which is a local Maori tribe, will declare something called a rahui, which is basically a pause on all activities on the mountain for a certain period of time, usually 24 to 48 hours. And then at that point, it would happen usually kind of last minute. It's placarded everywhere and announced well in advance, not well in advance, but well everywhere in the media, so you are aware of that. We do have a lot of information on how to plan for the Tongariro crossing on the NZ Pocket Guide website, so you may want to check that out, where we give you like gears to pack, how to organize your transportation there, and all that. It is a long walk, but it's definitely worth doing. It just requires a little bit of preparation. So check out our tips on that. Anthony says, on New Year's Day in Louisiana, there was an ISIS attack. Did you hear about that? Not really. No, obviously we keep up a lot with the New Zealand news and a little bit of international news, but not really about that. I'm sorry about that. And yeah, hopefully you guys get that sorted out quickly. Yeah. All right, next question. Again, if you have any questions, if you're just joining us, by the way, we answer all your questions about traveling in New Zealand and anywhere in the South Pacific. So if you have any questions, go for it. Otherwise, we do have plenty of questions that we received via comments on any of the socials, the TikToks, the emails. Fax? Have we ever received a question by fax?
No, we haven't. We do not have a fax machine.
Oh, that's why. We need to find a Telegram. Like an old-fashioned telegram, not the new telegram.
You can page
Well, yeah, we need to find a pager and a fax machine. That's my goal for 2025. Receiving a question in all sorts of
forms.
Yeah, forms of communication, no matter how obsolete. I will get somebody to send me a question via smoke signals. It will be hard.
Via pigeon mail.
Okay. Sudaka Gond says, how can I get a visa, sir? So to get a visa to come to New Zealand, it's relatively easy. You head to immigration.govt.nz. It's the only official immigration website for New Zealand, and it is run by the Department of Immigration here in New Zealand. On this website, there is pretty much as soon as you arrive, there is a great tool that's going to greet you, which is kind of like a quiz type where you can answer a few questions, like, you put your age, your nationality, all those kind of things. And it will actually prompt you, so it will actually give you a list of all the different visas which are available to you. Then you can browse and see what visa you can get, what are the requirements for this visa, and how you can apply for it. It's a very handy tool. And I can't believe that so many people are going through immigration advisors and all this kind of route instead of using that super easy to use tool. So seriously, don't get scammed into paying thousands of dollars to immigration advisors or anything like that. Just head to immigration.govt.nz, get all the right advice straight from the main source, straight from the policy regulators, the enactors, all of that. It's just right here, and it's so easy to browse and
it's
use.
Free to use the website.
And it's free. That is kind of handy. Obviously, the applications, depending on which visa you're going to get, you have a different fee, but it's free to use the website. So yeah, immigration.govt.nz. Seriously, how often do you hear people saying the government has done a really good job? Well, guess what? The government has done a really good job. That website is really good and easy to use. So check it out. We don't work for them. We don't get paid for them, by the way. It's not like sponsored kind of things. It's just our real, genuine opinion. We went through the same route than you, my friend. We came to New Zealand. We applied for visas and all of that. Granted, it was more than 15 years ago, so that's a while. And the website was pretty terrible back in the days, but now it's really good. So I strongly advise you to use that website. But good question. Honestly, that's great. Keep going, guys. Sir, madam, they're available AC technician jobs. Oh, yeah, plenty. In fact, if you want AC technician job, maybe consider the South Pacific, places like Fiji, Samoa, Tonga. They always look for people that have this kind of qualification. And yeah, it's a pretty cool lifestyle. We actually have some friends from the Philippines who just came back from doing those kind of jobs in Fiji. And yeah, they absolutely loved it. So yeah, maybe you want to consider that. Again, we're not career advisors or no immigration advisors, no any of that, right?
Yeah. We just know about the places, the cool places to travel.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if you want to know more about, the things to do there, what it's like to stay in particular places, whether it's New Zealand or one of the South Pacific countries that we cover below, then let us know.
Anthony says, you may want to tell him the price of the visas because remember when I went to go there, I ended up paying more than I should have because I went the wrong way. Yeah, so that's not the visas, that's the IVL and all that. And we actually will have a questions coming up about that very soon, Anthony. So that's a good, that's a good foreshadowing right here.
Yeah, good reminder.
I like it. Yeah. Hey, Adil, Happy New Year, my friend.
He says, Kia ora, Robin, Laura, and all of the viewers. Kia ora, Adil.
All right, so again, ask us all your questions about traveling in New Zealand and the South Pacific. In the meantime, we have a question from Lars from Germany. Are there any new visa requirements for tourists visiting Samoa in 2025? Asks Lars from Germany.
Okay, there are no new requirements for visitors going to Samoa in 2025. The thing mainly to note is that most countries, like most passports, are accepted into Samoa, and the average stay is 90 days for your average visitor. You can extend that once you're in the country if you so wish to do so. I mean, why would you not? But yeah, all in all, it's pretty much the same as it has been for the past few years. Just make sure that you have a valid visa that is up to date. Make sure that it isn't going to expire within 6 months of you departing of Samoa. That's the key thing. Just make sure your visa is your passport is up to date.
Indeed. And we have more information about traveling to Samoa on samoapocketguide.com, with like our favorite things to do, place to stay, etc. And with that is the first page done.
That was
well, at least yours stays on screen. Mine went off screen. So actually, that was great.
It was a vertical throw, kept vertical.
Loving it. Othello says, can I fill the declaration from when I get in the flight on my way to New Zealand? The declaration, so you're talking about doing the
traveler declaration.
The traveler's declaration, yeah? Yes, you can do that in a plane. You still can do that in a plane. However, there is an app and digital options now, which they're trying to push much more. So you may want to kind of do that early, so like that you don't have to bother too much. But yeah, you can do that in a plane. Absolutely no problem.
Yeah. Currently, right now, during the beginning of 2025, they are still doing the paper forms inside the plane. So you can do that early this year.
But I predict, that's my prediction for
Mhm.
2025. I predict that this year, they will actually completely wane off the paper declaration. So they were trying to do it in 2024, and they kind of backtracked and say, okay, we can still give the paper ones as well, blah, blah, blah. I predict that it's going to be fully digital by the end of the year. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe governments work slower than I think they do. They probably do, actually. But I'm predicting too late. I started my prediction. Nostradamus Robin says that I think we won't be able to do it in paper form anymore starting starting at some point this year.
Sometime this year. But
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll see. We'll see, Othello. Come back at the end of the year and we can check in on that, you know?
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
But yeah, if you're unsure, you can always do the online version of the declaration, which you can do. I'm not 100% sure on the hours, but I think you can do it like 24 hours before
Oh, yeah.
boarding your flight. So yeah, you will have time to do it beforehand via the app or online.
There's an app for everything.
There's an app for everything.
There's no app for removing apps, is there? All right, next question. Priya from India asks, is it true that New Zealand has introduced a tourist tax? How much is it?
Okay, so it's true that there is a tourist tax for New Zealand. It was introduced actually a few years ago,
Yeah.
but it's more that what happened in 2024 was that fee actually did increase during last year. So just to give everybody a reminder of what that is, the main fee that has gone up is the IVL, which is the
International Visitor Levy.
International Visitor Levy. It's meant to be used for conservation purposes. That's kind of the spiel it has. But yeah, it used to be $35, but it did increase to 100 New Zealand dollars. So this will be applied if you've manually applied for a visa. This will be included in your visa fee. But if you need to get an NZ to visit New Zealand, which
means you come into New Zealand without applying for a visa, you are from a visa-free country.
Yeah, so it does apply to most nationalities, around 45 different countries. So if you are applying via the NZ, then you will have to pay this fee as part of that. So therefore, it is now costing, depending on if you use the app or the website for the NZ, it will cost you $100 plus $17 if you use the app, or $100 plus $23 if you apply via the website compared to the app. So yeah, they're kind of your fees that most visitors would have to pay coming to New Zealand now.
Indeed. If you want more information on how to pay, what that mean for your trip, etc., just type IVL on the search bar of nzpocketguide.com and you'll find all that good stuff spelled out for you with a link to all the official sources so you can actually check the information and get the info right from the horse's mouth. Here you go. Thank you very much for the question, Priya. That was actually a very, very good question and quite relevant. Cool. All right. So if you guys have any follow-up or any questions, go for it in the chat. In the meantime, we have a question from Hamed from Egypt. Other hands, much better, much more comfortable. Are there any health precautions I should take before traveling to Tonga? Asked Hamed from Egypt.
Okay, so for going to Tonga, there's no out of the ordinary precautions that you'll need to take or any health concerns currently going to Tonga early 2025. However, like traveling anywhere in the world, it is always a good idea to have your vaccinations up to date. which you can find lists from the World Health Organization. They give you sort of like the usual vaccinations, like your routine vaccinations.
And spoiler alert, vaccination wise, when we do articles about which vaccination you need to get and all our tips and everything, we also take heed advice from both local doctors and the World Health Organization. So it's always a really good source of information.
Yeah, so you can check out on TongaPocketGuide.com for what vaccinations have been recommended to us by different reputable sources, and we've kind of put that all together in a nice, easy format to browse. But yeah, just make sure those are up to date. Make sure that you take yourself a nice first aid kit in case you get into any minor injuries or accidents, which is usual sort of common sense stuff for traveling. But just remember that you've got all those checked off and you should be all good for traveling to Tonga.
Indeed. Have fun and check out TongaPocketGuide.com if you want to actually plan the fun part of your trip. What? It's not just the vaccination and the taxes. Everybody's talking to us about the visa, taxes, and vaccination. Can we talk about the fun things to do around?
Very true.
Robin wants some fun in his life.
There are fun stuff to do in these countries too. That is very, very accurate.
Okay, speaking of fun stuff, Laura, are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready for some fun.
All right, May from China asks, has the Cook Island lifted all the COVID-19 travel restrictions?
Yes, it has. That happened, I think not 1, but 2 years ago now. So yeah, no issues with COVID-19 going in or out of the Cook Islands. Travel has resumed as normal for quite a few years now.
In fact, I think they now have more flight than they had pre-COVID.
Yes.
You know, there's Jetstar as well. So I think in the Cook Islands, there's actually more happening now than pre-COVID. So now's the time to go and enjoy.
Go and enjoy.
All right. Okay. I'm trying to find something which is a bit more fun, guys. Vali asking something nice. Okay. Vali Bolojan says, hello, please tell me if I want next year to Fiji from Europe, Romania, do I need a visa? Laura, from Romania, do you need a visa to travel to Fiji?
Ooh, I don't think so, but I could double check that
do you want to have a quick
on
look?
FijiPocketGuide.com because I know that our list is up to date.
So Vali, we run a website called FijiPocketGuide.com. So at some point the name will come below the screen. I'll tell you when it happens, right? And I'll tell you when that's there. Anyway, on there, we actually are keeping all the information up to date for you. Obviously, coming from Romania, that's a very specific question. So we're just double checking that right now for you. But yeah, if you head to the website, it's all free for you to kind of get all the information and plan your trip. The way you get to that article is basically, here's the name for you.
Romania is on the list.
So do they have a visa or do they no visa?
You don't need a visa.
Okay.
Yep.
So you don't need a visa. You will get a visitor visa, kind of
upon entry. When
given
you,
on entrance.
Yes, when you present your passport at the borders, they will give you a nice stamp to say, welcome to the country. And I'll just double check how long you can stay.
Yeah.
It's the same for all visitors, but I'll just double check that.
How long are you planning to stay over there, Vali, in Fiji? Because you should be able to stay at least a couple of weeks, if I'm correct, if not a month.
I think it's a month.
Yeah, but it's the minimum is 5 days. Yeah, for sure. You'll be able to stay 5 days for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, check FijiPocketGuide.com. So like that you can have the whole thing in writing. Just it's always reassuring to actually be able to.
You can stay for up to 4 months.
Wow. Maybe extend that trip and go enjoy. Where are you going? We just fresh off from the plane from Fiji. Not really, but a few months back, right? Where are you going? I'm keen to. I just want to know all that. Okay, so Ideal says, please do an updated video on the question, what are the activities to do with disability in New Zealand? The last one was done 5 years ago, and ever since, there has been more activities. Oh, that's a good question. That will require a lot of research, but that's a good one. I'll put it down to my ID list. Let me just write it down right here. Cool. I put down my ID list and I put down on the to-do list. It's becoming very long. Please be patient. Don't hate me. Anil is here. How are you doing, my friend Anil? Nice.
Hi.
Cool. Okay, again, all your questions about New Zealand, Fiji, Cook Island, Tonga, Samoa, Niue. And I missed one. I don't remember which one. I'm sorry.
The heater off.
Wow.
It's getting hot.
Well,
yes, that's right.
I can do it from here.
It's summer in New Zealand and we had the heater on because it actually was really cold this morning.
Yeah, I know. It was really cold. Anyway, all right. Anil says, how to get a job in New Zealand. So we're mostly talking about traveling in New Zealand right here. So how to get a job in New Zealand, I'm going to give you the short rundown. And I already talked about it a little bit at the beginning of this video. Head to immigration.govt.nz. It's the official immigration website of New Zealand. And in there, you'll be able to answer a few questions and get your list of available visas for your specific condition. It's all free to do all that test and everything. The visas, though, you have to pay for it. But getting the information from immigration.govt.nz, it is the government source, so you are sure that an immigration advisor won't charge you extra fees for services they won't provide. Then you'll be able to apply for your visa. Once you get your visa, come to New Zealand and then apply face-to-face. New Zealand is a face-to-face country, and that's the best way to get a job here. Immigration.govt.nz. I can't put names on screen, but I'll try to type it on the chat right now. Yeah.
And if you want any extra tips for finding a job in New Zealand, if you want tips on how to do a CV, the different sort of ways to find jobs, then we do have that advice on nzpocketguide.com. If you look under work in New Zealand, you should be able to find some tips.
All right. Here you go. She's right. Anyway, I gave it to you in the live chat right now. In the chat, you'll find the address. All right. Questions about traveling in New Zealand? Go for it, ladies and gentlemen. In the meantime, I should speak faster. Slower, Robin. Okay. Tom from the UK asks, is public transportation in New Zealand operational during the holiday season?
That is a very good question. And luckily, most of the time it is.
Yes.
It's like, for example, during the Christmas and New Zealand period that's just gone in late 2024, there were no changes, especially to, say, the Auckland Transport Agency, which is like the biggest public transport authority in New Zealand. For example, they had no changes whatsoever to their schedules. So usually you can assume that everything's going to be running as normal. However, it's always a good idea to just be on the lookout for updates, just in case there's anything that changes. More right now in New Zealand, there's a lot of roadworks. That's the sort of thing that you need to be more aware of. So in terms of public transport, maybe if there are some like work on the roads that could make journeys a bit longer for public transport, that sort of thing. So always a good idea to double check.
Speaking from experience.
If you want to be ultra prepared, double check your routes, make sure that it is getting to where you need to go on time, that sort of thing.
Indeed. We actually have guides of like public transport of each of the cities on NZ Pocket Guide, so you may want to check that out. Tom, good question.
Yeah.
Anil says, I already tried to apply, but there is no response. It's a multi-year process, right? I mean, we immigrated to New Zealand, granted that was 15 years ago, but it took multiple years. I think the whole process took 3 to 3.5 years, right? So just be patient. If you try to apply, you get a response, even if it's yes or no, but you'll get a response.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Keep on sending all your questions about traveling in New Zealand and the Pacific, and we'll continue through the question. We'll continue through the questions that we received through social media and all that in the meantime. Are there any recent changes to the quarantine laws for bringing pets into New Zealand? Asks Sophia from Argentina. Another very fun question.
So, well, short answer is no. The quarantining process, the whole process to basically migrate your pets to New Zealand is very strict. It is a very long and arduous, painful and expensive process that makes you kind of think maybe consider whether it's worth doing that, putting your pet through that whole ordeal as well.
They're part of the family, Laura.
They're part of the family. So yeah, I mean, still it is a pain. If you know anything about animals, quarantining animals to come to New Zealand. New Zealand has a very strict biosecurity rules. That's why it is really, really strict and hard to do and expensive. So yeah, just bear all that in mind before making that decision.
In fact, fun story, when the Auckland Zoo got an elephant, they had to quarantine it in the island country of Niue for a bit before sending it straight to New Zealand. So even government to government, they had to do some dealings like that in order to get a certain type of animal. So if you're planning on taking your elephant to New Zealand, just be prepared for a lot of hassle.
Yes.
Cool. Machua X is saying Merry Kirihimete, which is Merry Christmas. A bit late, friend. And then, oof, this one's going to be hard to say. Haritau Ho,
Ho.
which means Happy New Year in Maori, the local
Oh.
indigenous language. Happy New Year, my friend. Happy New Year to you as well. Anil and Fabio as well. Happy New Year, everybody. So Anil says, I'm trying to apply maybe 3 years. Yeah, it's a long process, and also the thing is it's not for everybody, right? There is some people that just get denied and they keep on trying to apply. You know, if they already said no to you multiple times and you try multiple different paths, sadly that may just means that it's a no-go. We know of a friend of ours that been trying to come to New Zealand and just didn't work for him, and that's life, sadly. Fabio says, we have a lot of political trouble here in Austria at the moment, and therefore I am just listening. Maybe I will visit you soon when I take the straight to residence visa for teachers in New Zealand. Yeah, we are struggling for teachers. We actually have some friends that tell us that, they're really, really struggling teacher-wise. So, yeah, some professions get way easier path to residency in New Zealand than a lot of other places. But, yeah, come and teach us a thing or two about Austria, my friend.
Ooh, Mature X says, I've been working and doing a pofuri at a local marae.
Oh,
that's cool.
Cool. That's really awesome.
So for those of you that don't know, a pofuri is a traditional welcoming ceremony in the Maori culture for basically for greeting new people to a marae, which is like a sort of community meeting grounds. So yeah, it's really cool to witness. We have seen them. For instance, you can see them actually quite easily at tourist attractions like Te Patu, Mitai. They'll sort of reenact what that would look like for visitors. So if you are interested in seeing it, as a visitor, it's well worth checking out. It's very amazing, very captivating.
Yes, and if you are elected as the chief of the tribe, don't mess up because those dudes can take you down. They're always so scary. I like it. Anil says, how to apply from India? I am from India. Oh yeah, just again, immigration.govt.nz. There is a link above in the chat, my friend. Just check this one out. We're not qualified immigration advisor. You need to do the quiz. You need to see which one you pass. You need to try your luck on those couple of paths. And if it doesn't work for you, sadly, it just means that New Zealand has decided to go another direction, sadly.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah, it does happen, my friend. It's just it's not fair, but that's what they've decided and how they decided to run this country. All right, next question. Is it safe to swim in the ocean in Fiji during January? Ask Lucas from Italy.
Okay, for swimming in Fiji in January, generally yes, as long as you, first of all, go to places that you know is safe for swimming. So it's good to go to, if you're staying, say, at a resort that's by the beach, you ask staff where is the best place for swimming. If you are going to sort of public beaches, like very well-known beaches like Natandola, for instance, which is on the Coral Coast, you can, basically you can see where people are swimming and kind of,
swim where other people are.
Swim where other people are, get some local advice as well. So all that sort of usual health and safety precautions are necessary. However, bear in mind that January is during the cyclone season in Fiji, so it always is a good idea to be aware of the weather alerts. If there is a weather alert for strong winds or a cyclone, then that's when it's probably not a good idea to go swimming in the ocean. So just be aware of the weather alerts, stay away from swimming if there is going to be some strong surges of water.
Indeed. That's really good advice. And we have more advice on FijiPocketGuide.com. You may want to check it out, Luca. Okay, so where are we at? So Fabio says the right-wing party got about 30% at the last election here. So it's in Austria, and the talks for a coalition of other parties just ended without any result. So we are shifting to the far right in a few weeks/month. Oh no! Oh, there is multiple countries that are doing that this year, and sadly, even in New Zealand, to be fair, we are quite right now, which is not so great, and which explains some of the immigration policies. In fact, maybe we should all get together and start our own country of respect and love for one another, and hate for corporations. How about that?
I'm in. Tell me where to sign.
Mark says, when does the shoulder season start for the Abel Tasman Park area? Late February or March?
I would say more go for late March. Like February is still very like even towards the end of February, and March is sometimes pretty early into the high season.
So the shoulder season is, just for those of you that don't know what it is, the shoulder season is basically the transition between the busy peak tourist season and the slow winter season in New Zealand. And that's usually the time when the weather is still kind of good, but the crowds are much smaller. And usually that's reflected in both experiences, which are therefore better since there is less people around, and prices, which are often starting to get a little lower. It is admittedly Loa and I's favorite time of the year to travel in New Zealand. And actually, the shoulder season, any country we're visiting, is always our favorite time.
Yeah.
So we do have full explanation of what are those times, etc. If you type shoulder season on NZ Pocket Guide, for instance, you'll have a full article that explains why you should travel there then and there, and what are the specific months we're talking about. But Mark is a loyal follower, so he knows all about that. So here you go. Matthew X says, if it's NZ, you'll find most local doing Kiwi things called manus, which is jumping in the water.
Doing bombs into the water, more specifically, creating the massive, biggest splash imaginable.
Fabio says, let us all migrate to Nue. Yeah, maybe we can talk to Nue and see if we can do it. Anil says, how to join NZ Pocket Guide. So, do not join us if you are expecting immigration advice. I'm just going to say that straight away, right? We're not here to take your money or anything like that, but we're not immigration advisor or anything like that. So don't join us for that. Join us for travel tips, for help planning your itinerary, for things to do in a country, for support during your trip. Anything to do with actually enjoying a holiday, a trip to New Zealand. That's why you would like to join us. Otherwise, do not join us. Now, how to join us? There is a link in the description of this video, which takes you to Patreon, and then you choose whichever plan you want, and you can support us for a month or two and stick around. Fabio, for example, is one of our loyal followers. In fact, so loyal, he's our producer. Unofficial, official producers. Unofficial, official.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no contracts involved, but
I don't mind. That's why it's an official.
Exactly.
Also, there's no producing from his part.
No, just suggestions by comment.
He's also our hiking shoe expert, by the way.
Yes.
All right.
Unofficial, official hiking expert.
Fabio says, on some day, NZ Pocket Guide will get a license for immigration advisor. No, we have no interest in doing that because we actually don't think there should be immigration advisors. They're a little bit like lawyers, but even, quicker. They make the round in the news in New Zealand really often for malpractice and all these kind of things. There is literally a really big case which has been in the court in the last 2 weeks. No, this is not a business we want to do.
We want to stay away.
Yeah.
Stay away from that.
Yeah. All right. I genuinely think Immigration New Zealand is doing a really good job with their website. I'm not pandering right here. They really do a good job with their website and their advice and everything like that.
There doesn't need to be an immigration advisor because their website explains everything.
Exactly. And their processes are actually quite straightforward. If you tick the boxes, you tick the boxes. If you don't, well, you need somebody to kind of lie on your behalf. And that's what an immigration advisor kind of does. And I'm not going to rant more about it because that's my personal opinion, does not represent the views of South Pacific Pocket Guide and all these associated businesses and corporations. Here you go. Are there any cultural festivals in Samoa during February that tourists can attend? Ask Ingrid from Sweden.
Ooh, February in Samoa. To be honest, February is probably one of the quietest months for events in Samoa. It is during the very hottest, wettest, most humid season of the country, so they do prefer to do their big cultural events like later in the year, around September, where it gets a bit cooler and drier. That said, the thing to see in February in Samoa would be it's the start of the rugby season, so you can see a few more games of rugby while you're there.
They are really into rugby in Samoa.
Yes. You can even when it gets to about 2-3 p.m. on an afternoon, you'll see people playing sports like on the side of the roads, like everywhere. So yeah, I mean, Samoa is really into their sports, so that is kind of part of the culture, and you'll certainly experience that while traveling around Samoa in February.
Indeed, we do have more information for February in Samoa in samoapocketguide.com. Just type the word February in the search bar and you'll find like a guide for like the best places to visit in February, the typical weather and all that. So you're fully prepared for your trip. Cool. Fabio says, buy your Class B shoes for hiking. Not D, not A. Yeah. Okay. Here's the hiking shoe guide from Fabio.
Yes.
Anil says, are you guys friends? We are best friends for life.
We are sworn enemies.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
Read the room, Robin.
I like that. All right. Hey, that's another page done. No, that was horrible.
Do it
No.
nice and vertical.
Oh, you're so much better at doing that than I am. That's good. All right. Again, ask us all your questions about traveling in New Zealand and the South Pacific. This live show is yours. In the meantime, we'll continue with the questions that we received. Okay, next question, Laura. You're reading it.
I'm reading it. Okay, yes, I am. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay, so Raj from India asks, what are the current exchange rates for New Zealand, for the New Zealand dollar against major currencies?
So obviously the exchange rate for the New Zealand dollars, fluctuates a lot. Daily, hourly, minutely. I don't know if that's even a word, but yeah, it's changed a lot throughout. At the moment, recording this on the 5th of January 2025, the New Zealand dollar is quite low against major currencies like the US dollar. So here's a bit of an indication of, where it's at the moment. One New Zealand dollar is the equivalent of 56 cents US dollars, 54 cents euro, 45 cents pound, 48 rupees, 90 cents Australian dollars, 81 cents Canadian dollars, 76 cents Singapore dollars, 51 Swiss franc, 250 ringgit, that's Malaysia, and 88 yen from Japan. That's kind of what it is at the moment currently. If you actually want to check out any currency against a lot of other different currencies, if you're planning on looking at which currency you want to buy when traveling to a certain destination, there is a website I do like, and it's not sponsored or anything. It's just that most of the website allows you to kind of select New Zealand dollars and then select another currency, and then you can do your, you get the exchange rate in there. But they have like a chart that basically shows you all the different currencies right from the get-go. And so it's called X-rates, X-rates, not X-rated, but yeah. So yeah, it's the website that I personally use when I want to check multiple currency at once, non-sponsored, anything like that. Just so you guys know. Cool. Anil says, okay, guys, bye. You have a good day, Anil. See you next week. Bye bye. And Fabio says, which mountain is the most beautiful for hiking during winter and which one during summer for each island, please?
Okay, so...
honestly, I think the most beautiful mountains, summer and winter on the North Island is the Tongariro area, I think.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking in my head as well. Thinking, okay, so in summer, I would say the Tongariro crossing, like in terms of the mountains, like actually hiking Mount Tongariro and getting those views of the different mountains around you. I was thinking, would I put Taranaki on the list? But I actually think the views around Tongariro are better because you get more mountain and lakes and things to see from on Mount Tongariro. So that's why I would go for summer. However, for winter, knowing that most people don't have the expertise to go hiking in the snow, I'm thinking of what mountain is below the tree line mostly. Below the snow line mostly.
Timata Peak, would you say?
I was going to say...
Pinnacles?
I was going to say in the same area, Mount Urchin.
Oh, yeah.
Which is very close. It's in the Kaimanawa Ranges and it's close to the Tongariro National Park. Basically, it's mountains that give you views of all the central North Island volcanoes. And even as far as Mount Taranaki in the distance. So...
All right. What about the South Island?
For the South Island, that is a tough one because there's so many mountains. Do you have any ideas for the South Island that come to mind?
So I think I hiking around the Mount Cook area, which is New Zealand's tallest mountain, in summer is fantastic. Like the Hooker Valley Track, for example, is really, really exceptional and really kind of worth doing.
Yes.
I'd say. And when it comes down to doing any mountains in winter on the south end of New Zealand, that's when it becomes a little bit more alpine, a little bit more risky. But I think the area around Queenstown is very well equipped for that. And
Yeah, like if you do Queenstown Hill, for
Exactly,
instance,
yeah.
because if you, for instance, there's the Ben Lomond nearby, which is not good for most people when it gets under snow. So I'd say the next best thing would be, say, Queenstown Hill, keeping you sort of below that snow,
Indeed.
but getting views.
All right. We have actually our favorite things to do in summer and favorite things to do in winter on NZ Pocket Guide. So that's a good one to check out. Okay, we have some more questions. Okay. Is it necessary to book accommodations in advance for travel to New Zealand in February? Asks Akio from Japan.
I would say absolutely yes. February is the peak season in New Zealand. I would, just so you get your first choice in accommodation, you know, therefore the best price, all that sort of stuff, then I would book those as far in advance as possible, as is reasonable for you. Obviously, you can only book as far in advance as you can and things. Maybe you're like, oh, I shouldn't do that just now because I don't know if I'm going there or not. But yeah, as soon as you have like locked in dates in your mind, I really would recommend to book accommodations. And absolutely the places to do that most far in advance would be, for instance, if you're staying in Milford Sound, there's only one real accommodation for the public in Milford Sound, and in Lake Tekapo, which is a very small town that a lot of people like to stay in, but there is quite limited accommodation there.
Indeed, the hot spot especially. We have actually itineraries for like summer in New Zealand and all those kind of things. So I think you may want to check those one out on the site. It's nzpocketguide.com. All right. Again, continue asking us your questions. We only have 15 minutes left. So if you have any questions about traveling in New Zealand and the South Pacific, now is the time to do so. Otherwise, you have to wait all the way to next week, which is sad. But you can always give us your questions in the comments of the video when you're watching a replay of that, just in case we missed out on your questions, and I'm sorry about it. Next up, we have Hannah from Australia is back asking, are there any travel advisories for the Cook Islands due to volcanic activities? What?
No, there isn't. The Cook Islands isn't really known for its active volcanic activity. In fact, there's not really any active volcanoes around the Cook Islands.
No.
So yeah, that should not be a concern, a cause for concern traveling to the Cook Islands. So enjoy.
No. Enjoy. Have fun.
Go have fun.
Next up, we have, are there any significant weather risks for traveler in Tonga during February? Again, Lars from Germany.
Okay, so for the weather risks, February is during the cyclone season.
Yep.
So make sure that you do have your sort of weather alert apps on. You can, we do have some advice on our complete weather article, which we have on tongapocketguide.com. But yeah, on there, it kind of gives you a few suggestions for some apps, or basically which local Met service to use for tracking cyclones across the South Pacific. That would be the main concern. But otherwise, travel, like, that's just usually a very small percentage of the wet season. Things like that happen. For the rest of the time, it's usually beautiful weather. Despite being called the wet season, it's usually actually really beautiful, hot, sunny weather. Even better for going for a nice, cooling, refreshing dip in the ocean. So, yeah, all good. You'll be fine.
Indeed. Fabio asks, when are the NZ school holidays? So I'm guessing for 2025. So the term 1 2025 school holidays start on Saturday, the 12th of April to Sunday, the 27th of April, 2025. Then there's a couple of public holidays, Good Fridays on the 18th of April, Easter Monday on the 21st of April, Easter Tuesday on the 22nd of April, which is a school holiday, and Anzac Day on the 25th of April. Then for the term 2, it's Saturday the 28th of June to Sunday the 13th of July 2025. Term 3 is going to be Saturday the 20th of September to Sunday the 5th of October 2025. And then the summer holidays start no later than Saturday the 20th of December 2025, and run for 5 or 6 weeks from the school's closing date until opening date of the school on the following year. And that's what you can expect for 2025 school holiday in New Zealand, according to the Ministry of Education of New Zealand. So I got the information right from the source for you, my friend Fabio.
Yep.
Are you planning anything fun on the school holidays? Let us know.
So how do we know what time to avoid? So yeah, basically
The one I just said.
the dates that we said, although Robin sort of phrased it as, during term 1, these are the dates, that isn't to be confused with these are the dates for the term. They're literally the school holidays for each of those terms. So yeah, school holidays are between the 12th of April to the 27th of April.
Yeah.
Then 28th of June to 13th of July. Then the 20th of September to the 5th of October.
We just done that
And
already.
then 20th of December for 5 or 6 weeks. It's still school holidays right now in New Zealand, for instance, because we're during those summer holidays.
All right, travel in my 50s. How are you doing, friends? Happy New Year. They say, what are some of the highlights of places not to miss when traveling from Christchurch to Nelson and down the west coast of the South Island, looking at a November timeline? Okay, highlight not to miss. So Christchurch to Nelson. Obviously, you want to check out the area of Kaikoura, where you have amazing wildlife over there with whales, seals, and all that good stuff. If you're into your wines, you may want to check out Blenheim along the way. It is kind of like the heart of the Marlborough, which is the biggest wine region of New Zealand. And in Nelson, don't forget to check out the Abel Tasman National Park, one of the crown jewel of the top of the South Island of New Zealand. That's for sure. Then you're going to start making your way down to the west coast of the South Island, where you're going to be able to see the beautiful St. Arnaud area and the Nelson Lakes National Park, which is definitely worth stopping and maybe doing a couple of walks in there. Then continue driving toward the west coast. Laura, take it over.
Yeah.
Or take over.
Yeah. So I think the next highlight on the list would be Punakaiki area. It's most famous for the Punakaiki pancake rocks, but there are a few extra caves or beautiful river walks that you can check out there. You can do kayaking down the river. So yeah, that is a really cool place. And then our sort of next big highlight is the Franz Josef and Fox Glacier area. So if you want to either go hiking to see glacier terminal faces,
or doing some bone carving, which is really awesome.
or doing some bone carving,
Which is a bit outside of there, but
Yeah.
it's really cool.
or you can do greenstone carving in Franz Josef as well. And basically that's a big sort of hotspot where it's a small town, but a very sort of active place for tourists. There's a lot of things to do there. Beautiful nearby lagoons with the Okarito Lagoon with amazing herons and wildlife there. So really, like, whatever you fancy, you'll probably be able to find it in that area.
And lagoons, not legumes.
Yeah, lagoons, not legumes.
All right. And going back all the way, down the west side of the South End. Yes, that's basically the whole list.
Just you asked for the highlights, so we've given you like some quick snippets. Of course, there's a million and loads of things to do on that whole area, but if we just had to sort of narrow it down, there would be some highlights for you.
Indeed. And if you want us to plan your trip together, feel free to join us on Patreon for a month or two. You get access to trip planning service, which is what we do a lot, and you have access to the secret Facebook group where you can ask us all your questions, all that. And then we also do weekly kind of just more private calls and shows and everything. This week, for the first time, we try to do it directly on the Facebook group. We'll see if that works or not. Usually we do Google Meet, and it's a fun way to kind of plan your trip together, my friend. Travel in my 50s also say, responding to Fabio, don't go to Queenstown during the school holidays. The place was a madhouse. Yeah,
I bet.
To be fair, anytime in summer, Queenstown is a madhouse.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, it really is. The town is not planned for that many tourists. Like, it's just overrun. It's just not suited for that many tourists. Cool.
What's up next?
Yeah, okay. Last question for today comes from another Priya from New Zealand this time. And she says, is it worth visiting Rotura's geothermal attractions in January, or is it too crowded?
I would say it's still definitely worth visiting some geothermal attractions during January, although that is the peak season, although that is like the busiest time to visit any geothermal attractions. But if you are concerned about the crowds, then there are a few geothermal parks I would avoid and which ones I would go to instead. So I would say definitely go to one of the larger geothermal parks like Waimangu Volcanic Valley. It's a lot less known. It's lesser known rather. It's lesser known than some of the other geothermal parks in the area, but it's also really huge. So you can easily find yourself walking along trails on your own. The one to avoid, I would say, would be Waiotapu. It is the most famous, but it's also a lot smaller, a lot more crowded, a lot more crammed. So probably avoid that if you're not into the crowds.
And if you are adamant you want to do those one, do the very early morning. Like seriously, wake up early, do them early morning, and then do other things during the rest of your day, so you actually have a more pleasant experience.
Good tip.
All right. Okay, everybody. We have another like 2 minutes with all of you, and then we are moving on to our Patreon show. So if you have any last minute questions, go nuts. If you have any suggestions for next week's theme, you can go for it as well. Aside from that, we are back for 2025. One live show like this one every single week on Sunday at this exact time. So if you are watching a replay, just put your watch for next week. Put your
Fitbit on.
Put your Fitbit alarm on. Sorry, I have an old-fashioned one. Do any of those electronic devices that run your life for you, and make sure that they remind you to come and join us. That's a lot of fun. And we'd love to plan your trip all together. Other than that, we are done. Anthony says, stay safe, but I'm here until the end.
Still need to get that printed onto a t-shirt.
Yeah. Maybe it's 2025, the years we do merch.
I don't really believe in merch, so probably not.
We have to stop not believing in money. Okay, everybody. You have a lovely rest of your Sunday. Or at least it's Sunday for us. And we see you next week. Bye-bye.
See you next week.